started. So we're going to talk today about API-first development with OpenAPI. But before we're talking about that, let's talk about me. Who am I? I'm Nick Van Hoof. I'm a cloud developer. I don't know if that's a real term, and I work in the cloud all day. So that's what I associate myself with. And I work for Ordina, of course. You can see that on the presentation. Yes, let's get into it. API-first development. What is this talk all about? API-first development with OpenAPI. OpenAPI is a specification. It's a way of describing, specifying what your API looks like. So that's what we're going to talk about. Why do we need to do this? Why is this important? Then we will see how can we do this with OpenAPI. And next we will go a little bit more into OpenAPI and how can we use it in a technical way. But it's only the last couple of minutes that I'm going to get more technical. I didn't know that I would be in the HR track. Still, luckily, it's quite functional. We only have 15 minutes, so there will be no demos today. Very sad. I don't have the time, but there will be some movies, or at least one, and there will be valuable information, so hurry for that. This one is, if you want to check out the blog that I wrote about this, it's all checkable at the blog of JWorks. I will also share the link afterwards. Alright, so I'm going to tell you this story by means of imagine that you are at a conference, yes you are, and that Ordina is organizing a conference and we want people to come and create sessions that they want to speak about, interesting sessions like mine. They can come to us and be creative, we want to build an application for it. And they can all, and people can also come and ask for, hey, what sessions are already there? I want to see all the sessions. So we have one application which is drawn here, which will manage all the sessions. People can create sessions and people can fetch all the sessions. And they do that via their phones. We have an Android application, we have an iOS application, and we have a web application, and they all speak to this backend application here. Now, how do they speak with this application? How do applications speak with each other? That's via the API. That's what I put it right now. Now, people that know me, I will put this box in the hallway somewhere. I will put it in the cloud. This is just a picture of cloud technology. And I will use a gateway, a cloud gateway, to make my API. So, an API, it stands for Application Programmer Interface. And that's kind of a mouthful to say how our applications communicate with each other. And if that's still hard to grasp, then follow me on this sidetrack. So, imagine back in the day when you were a student, and you of course, you had holidays while your parents had to go to work. Then your mother was always this nice to put a little note on the table and saying, hey, task 1, double point, clean dishwasher. Task 2, clean your room. And you come home at the bed, and you wrote another note, task 1, done, because good boy, as you are, you did all of them, task 1 done, task 2 done, and then you take off, because you have 4 days, and you go to a pub. So, the way that you are communicating with your mom there, we're putting those notes, that is the way that you are communicating, that was your API there. The same goes for applications, it's the way that they communicate. So why do we need to think about the API first? Yeah, sure, because the API, it carries business value. If people know how to communicate with us, if other applications can use our own application, then we will have a high usage and we will be a valuable application. If we think about our API first and we design it before we start implementing it, then as we saw, we had a few front-end applications, and we had the mobile applications, and we also had the back-end application in the cloud. Separate teams are going to develop these, and if we agree on the way that we will communicate first, then we can start developing those applications separately because we know how we will communicate with each other. And then also with the shift towards the cloud, we're seeing that we're moving away from big monoliths, going more and more microservices, even smaller, the functions in the cloud, which all have APIs, many applications speaking to each other, so the communication there is even getting more important. So that's why we want to think about our API first. Now, how are we going to do that? We're going to do that, and I've already told you this a few times, by communicating clearly about what our API looks like. Because communication is always one of the problems that appears in IT. So we want to be very firm and very clear on it. And that's when communication happens verbally, of course, but it also happens visually. A picture says more than 1,000 words. So if I can visualize my API, I have a powerful tool. And we want to have sound agreements, sound like firm. We want to have firm agreements with each other. We want to design our API, and then we can develop separately. Now, how are we going to do this? No. So what are we going to do? We're going to do API first development. And what are we going to do this with? With OpenAPI. And this is where I go into OpenAPI. I already told you OpenAPI is a way of specifying what your API looks like. Now, so you want to be clear about that API. Let me show you how this often goes when you're not clear about your API. So we still have our application that we're making for a conference, and people, they can come and they can create sessions with us, they can post sessions, and they can also fetch all the sessions that are currently existing. So imagine me being the backend developer, and you guys being front-end developers, and you send to me, hey man, I want to know the URL on which I can fetch all the sessions. So yeah, I'll just take a screenshot. And so you look here, and then you go to this URL, and you will fetch all sessions on that endpoint. Okay, let's type that over. Then you ask me, what will I actually get on that endpoint? Yeah, I send you a new file. Yeah, it will be something like this. Okay, that's not what I meant. I meant, what status code will I receive? I say, yeah, it's 200. Okay, so we have discussed a small part of our API already. And then you ask me, yeah, okay, I can fetch all the sessions, but I also want to be able to create a session. How do I do that? Yeah, then you send me something like this. Again, a screenshot. Yeah, but that's not what I meant. I meant, what status code will I receive? Yeah, 202, I will go create it for you. Okay, you say that's if all goes well, but what if it goes wrong? Yeah, then you will get a 404. And then 5 minutes later, I'll call you back and I say, oh no, it will be a 400. I wasn't clear about that. And if you're sending me something wrong, I will send you back all of the problems in the body of my message. Now, and then we go out of each other, we start developing. The next day, I come to work and I think, oh damn it, we forgot to make something required in the sessions. I have to change the API, didn't think this through. No, let's throw it all away and let's start again. And we just both wasted a whole day or even more, because it often doesn't even go that fast, sending files back and forth. Now, that was an imaginable situation, because I will not do it that way. If you come to me and you ask me, what does your API look like? I want to be clear on that, because I want to communicate clearly, I want to visualize it, so I will point you to a website where we have designed the API, or where you can check out the API, and you can nicely view, and this is OpenAPI specification that is behind this. You can nicely view, as I told you already, you can get all the sessions on this endpoint. You can create new sessions, and you see, there's also an endpoint where I can get one session if I have a session ID. So that visualization already speaks for itself, and people, they can just go and visit the specification and check it out for themselves, instead of sending you messages on Slack and you having to send them screenshots or JSON files. Now, what do I have to send on this endpoint? Yeah, you can just click on it, so let's imagine that I click on it, so it's not live. And I click on it, then it opens up. It's very small, so I will zoom in directly. You see, I can create a session, and what do I have to send? I have to send this, I have to send a session. What does a session look like? Again, it kind of speaks for itself. A session has a subject, in this case API first developed with OpenAPI. A session also has a speaker, and we see this little red dot here indicating that it is required. And of course, a session needs a speaker, because without a speaker, there will not be a session. So people can just, again, come here, check out your API, and learn what it looks like. Now, even more, they go down, they scroll down a little bit on the page, and they can see, hey, if I want to create a session, what response will I get? 202, accepted. I will go create a session for you. That's what we just saw. I've sent it back and forth. But now you can check it yourself. And I will send you this body, I will send you back the session that will be created, and I will also send you back an ID for that session. Something that we didn't know yet from the sending files back and forth if you do it that way. Now, what's actually behind all of these? Because the visualization is not coming from nowhere. We have to kind of write it in some way. So that's behind this is a specification file. It's a YAML file or a JSON file. If you don't know what it looks like this. It's small. I will also zoom in. So there is a file behind this that I wrote where I describe everything, where I describe my endpoints. And based on this file, all of this nice visualization is generated. Typically, we call this file API.yaml, API.json, OpenAPI.yaml. If I zoom in, here, if I zoom in on the YAML file, you can see that in there is a session of which I just told you. A session requires a speaker, because without a speaker, no session. So the session as a property, speaker, right? And the speaker is required. Yeah, we also see that here. What is also required? The subject is also required. Now, if this is a new way of defining things, maybe you think, oh man, isn't that difficult? Now, I know where I work, we do those things together, developer and functional analyst. So the functional analyst is also able to think with me about the fields that are required. And indeed, it's something that you all can understand. Now, if I list something as required here, that means that it's required. It can also be that I just have very good functional analysts at work, which is also true, which they also like to hear. So I'm telling this. Let's get on. Yeah, okay. We saw that there is a file behind the API definition. It's described in this file. And from this, we can visualize and we can communicate about our API. So now it's time to get a little more technical, because I will have to implement that API. Me as a developer, I want to write code that does what we say here, that does those things, that is compliant with my specification. Now, if I write the code myself, I can make mistakes. I might forget to make the speaker required. The session needs a speaker, maybe I forget, because I'm a developer. And yeah, people are not always as good as a computer, so they might forget something. That's why I say, hey, let's generate it. We have our specification, we know what a session should look like, so I can actually just generate my code. And don't be frightened by this command. It's just saying, I want to generate some code based on that file that we just saw. What code do I want to generate? I want to generate some Java code, because we're ready for Java. I want to end the code. I want all the files of the code to end with DTO, standing for Data Transfer Objects. That's the way that we transfer data, the way that we communicate. And I want to put here being validation to true, kind of hard word to say that if things are required in my specification, I also want it to be marked as required in the code. So let's now check out what will be generated from this command. Indeed, we see here that we have a whole lot of code generated for us, ending in DTO, as I asked it to do. And if I go into one of these files, for example, the session, talk about the session a lot, the session needs a speaker, it was required, and we also find that in the code, it is annotated with hey man, this cannot be null. So now you have code that you can use to validate everything that is incoming. If someone is sending you something, and you have this code, there are ways to check, hey, is what incoming here? If it doesn't have a speaker, that's a violation, so I will have to return some problems. Now, how to do this? I also described it in the blog. I'm not going to go further into this. There are supported frameworks for this. But we see here that the point is, the capability is there to generate code that is completely compliant with your specification. So we saw the file, the API YAML file, based on which we can communicate, we can visualize, we can generate code. Now, I also say in the file that you can create sessions on /sessions. We just saw that. So I also want to be able to create those endpoints from the file. And indeed, you can do that. I already, if you remember 10 minutes ago when I showed you the picture of my gateway, the gateway, our API, the gateway, the way where the gate where we enter the cloud. You can take like we can create the endpoints at our gateway based on our specification file, and this is what we see in the following movie. I told you there will be movies, and there's actually just one. So here we see me pasting the specification file and saying, okay, there's a /sessions endpoint. I want to create endpoints, and then we see here that in the cloud, for us, it created the sessions endpoint where you can get and you can post a session, and it also created the endpoint where you can fetch one session based on an ID. So already 4 things now based on specification. We are communicating, we are visualizing, we are generating code, and we are creating endpoints. And we're all sure that it is compliant because we all have it done from the same file. So, to round up, pluses and minuses, always end with the plus side. So we'll start with the minuses. Now, I told you, you want to be clear about your API, and you want to think about your API first. Design your API first. That means, on the other end, that you have to wait with your development until you have thought this through. Of course, that's not such a bad thing, spending time thinking about what your API would look like. Also, the OpenAPI specification, it allows you to put a description for an endpoint, but if you need extra documentation, you cannot put it in the specification file. So that's something where you would need another tool for it. But on the plus side, we have this clear API definition, because we are thinking about our API first, and we know how we will communicate, and this is how we tackle the problem of communication between teams, which is always one of the big hassles in IT. Because from now on, if we define our API first, teams can start developing separately. Now, since I generate that code, there's a strong consistency, and it's compliant, there's a strong consistency between the web layer, the DTOs, the code that was generated, and the specification file. And there is strong tooling support, by which I mean, I just showed you one way to visualize the specification, but there are many open source and also paid tools that you can use to visualize your specification. Now, by this, we're coming towards the end of the presentation. If you want to know more, functionally and also technically, there's a lot more behind this. You can check it out via this link, scan the QR code, or go to the Ordina JWorks blog website, and you will find it all right there. So, I thank you, and bye-bye. Are there any questions? Yeah, there are those tooling support. There are tools that support the version. you guys.